Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. It is Council on Future Conflict, episode 401. My name is Scott. I'm the proprietor of the channel. Today we're talking the Harris fixes in and who exactly is she? So it's definitely a domestic focused show. We're going to look at what we know about the presumptive candidate. She is not the nominee because she has got 0 votes. There is 0 democratic process that has put her into this position, despite her being the nominee for the Democratic Party. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how that works. But today we'll be talking about that. And we're not all domestic. We do have some interesting things in the odds and ends. But as always, I've got a good group of guys to talk to me about this stuff. First up, you love him. But even though he hates to see you on his lawn, Ron, how you doing today?
Good thing I don't have a lawn.
I know.
I have.
You got a forest.
Yes, yeah, and I hate to see you there too. Just be aware, folks. If you come up my road, all the various little signs and unique rock formations are actually range markers, and just keep your head on a swivel.
Keep your head on a swivel. Very good, very good. All right. So, Ron, it's never a dull day in the national media, and we've definitely seen some fun. But the one thing that I would like to this is your special day. I feel like this is what National Intelligence Professionals Day. As declared by the DNI. Just so congratulations, Ron. I just want to take a moment to recognize you for that.
Oh God, I'm gonna keep. I don't want to demonetize us, so I'll. Thank you.
Well, why listen to me talk about it? I mean, let's listen to the actual DNI herself talk about it. And we've even got a man bun in here. Let's just skip ahead, shall we? Because I don't want to be among your ranks. Here we go. Everybody gets a headset when you join the CIA, right?
All of you bring a wide range of expertise, skills, and passion to our mission.
That's NSA.
And analyze national intelligence on issues of geopolitical importance that can range
look at that
from
man
terrorism
bun
or cybersecurity to environmental threats and disruptive technologies.
Oh yes.
Serving in the intelligence
I feel
community
protected.
Not only are you trusted with.
I mean, and I'm seeing the diversity is their strength. So very good.
And my 51 former colleagues, are all, the politically astute ones. They made sure I knew about this as well. So yeah.
Does that count the 51 liars? Oh, Rick Dukamboka. Yes. All right. Anyway, Sean, how you doing today?
Good. Just rocking along here, trying to fight with a GMC and visit with you guys. I'm going to take a moment since he doesn't do it and shill for me General Don the Pleb. Those of you who don't know, Pleb Media on Rumble is back. Correct. Go find the channel. Go subscribe. There was a live stream this morning that ended a little bit before the show. Last one he's going to do because, as I understand it, he's hopping in the truck like now and heading to Montana to the thing that Scott would like to show from there.
Yes, absolutely. We're very lucky to have a awesome group of guys coming out. I do believe Joe is already there, and he's got his class going into this weekend, I believe. And so if you're not going to be there, you're doing something wrong. So let me round out Watcher's intro.
$1,200 is what I'm doing wrong. Sorry.
Amen.
Well, hey guys, for mine, I got to say, I don't know that everybody noticed, but there are signs everywhere. I witnessed yesterday a white boy summer miracle. It's back, boys. ESPN has announced that Roundball Rock will now return in its media lineup for 2025.
We get to listen to John Tesh. Oh my God!
The sounds of the ESPN of my youth will now return
Well, here's my thing is I didn't realize John Chess was always the guy. What was it, Entertainment Tonight or something like that? Wasn't he the anchor on there? But then he like came out as a wannabe pop musician, which was just kind of blew my mind back in the 80s. Can you do that?
Yeah, look. He's a weird guy. However, the tune is fire. And it returning it is a sign of it's a white boy summer miracle. It is what it is.
It's still a Disney product, and I won't be watching it. So I mean, it's sad, but
correct.
I'm still having trouble with Watcher saying the ESPN of his youth, dude. You were just barely above drinking age, so stop it.
Well, Ron's not wrong. He's this is not him being grumpy, Watcher. This is him spewing facts.
True. Was it not? I thought it was that way during the 90s, right?
I mean, you were born in the 90s, right?
Yes, old
I was
theme.
born in the 90s.
Let's see.
I was born and conscious and watching basketball, mostly the Utah Jazz.
I'm so sorry.
Don't get Sniper started now.
I am so sorry, Watcher.
Well,
Jazz
I mean,
in the 90s, Stockton alone? No, I was fine.
I will say that I haven't watched professional basketball since the 90s.
Oh, same. Yeah, no, since
after the Bulls and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Those Bulls teams were just amazing. All right, just drop the link in the chat for Shield Field Days. If you haven't checked that out, and if you want, come on out. If you're in the neighborhood, please. If you're coming and you haven't done it yet, go ahead and sign up and get your get pre-registered. If you come out and do it the day of, it's $10 more. Unless you just want to put 10 more bucks in our pocket, that's okay too, I guess.
And whatever you do when you meet Joe, don't acknowledge his dwarfness.
Dwarfness. It's he's not that short. Come on now. Nice.
Don is the manlet of manlets. So
is he short too?
Well, that's been a long running joke of the internet, is that Don is shorter than Sargon.
Well, but on the other end of it, Watcher, you're tall, aren't you?
Well, I'm 6 foot. Yeah. He claims to be 5'10". I don't know. I'm on the fence on that one.
I'm 5'11".
I'm 6'3".
So yeah. See, you're like Donald Trump tall.
Gigantor.
I know, right? What size shoe do you wear?
15.
Good Lord.
Well, actually 15 wide.
So what do? Just wax the bottoms and go skiing?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Exactly right. Well, no need for snowshoes. I was gonna say,
it makes it easy. I'm a mean swimmer. I'll tell you that. It's like a steam paddle boat. Anyhow.
Okay, Flipper.
I mean,
damn.
Who said that 5'11" was too short? Come on, man.
Yeah, 5'11's all right.
You know the difference between 5'11" and 6 feet?
Nothing.
6 feet.
No. If you ask women, right? They said all the guys who say they're 6 feet are really 5'11". They're all lying just to kind of add an inch. But you never, if you say you're 5'11", you're probably closer to 5'10". So it's like all guys like cheat an inch in there.
No.
Yeah,
well, I'll stop derailing things so we can actually get on topic. Sorry.
Yeah,
we could get derailed by worse topics, I guess.
True.
All right, let's jump right into it then, shall we? Actually, do we have anything or no? We'll just jump right into it. I think we've got some other things that we can weave into the conversation, but so our good buddy Canine Reaper nicely a couple hours ago dropped this in our chat. He says, remember when I said there were terrorists in South Africa and actively training alongside Zama-Zamas, etc.? Well, here you go. And this is a South African news agency. It says 95 Libyan nationals taken for questioning after being found in a secret military camp and Mpumalanga. Home Affairs officials are on site investigating. Continues, determined if other criminal activities are linked to the camp. I'm sure they are. Watcher, is there a tweet that has those? Actually, I think. Oh yeah, if you scroll down, you can see images. So he did a kind of whole thread here. He said, "This is why community safety patrols are pulling up on scene, only to be engaged by multiple AK-wielding tangos." And then so they've got the guys that are getting arrested here, and then they've got all these basically training camp. I mean, it looks like a legit training camp of some sort of like this. This looks like the IRA training camps from what is it, Patriot Games in Libya,
GP mediums and a mount site.
I mean, it's like they only look, terrorist training camps only look like this in movies, and all of a sudden here's one in real life. Only in a collapsed country like South Africa could this stuff really stand.
Wow.
So
terrorists always go train in the ungoverned spaces. I mean, that's why Afghanistan continues to be such a haven for, pick your terrorist du jour.
Yeah, Somalia too. I mean, it was just
Oh,
it
yeah.
was ripe for the picking. I mean, all kinds of people were going through trafficking through Somalia back in the day. So yep, that's a thing, guys. I mean, Libyan terrorists. I'm not quite sure. I guess they could be like GNA or LNR or something like that. Or
Libya isn't Al-Shabaab in Libya?
More in the south, but not like it. So with Libya, you still got the forces up in the north doing most of the heavy hitting. And they are both, to a certain extent, tied to various stripes of fundamentalist Islamic terror folks. So it's kind of hard to know.
It's almost like they
who's the bad guys.
They took the elite of the Libyan terrorists, whatever faction this is, to send them out of country because the in-country stuff is vulnerable to attacks from opposing factions. So these guys are planning to do big time stuff based on, look at the mount site, it's like, damn.
I mean, this clearly funded. I mean, this is not, they got brand new vehicles lined up. This looks like something that,
it's well funded.
This looks like something the DNI and her well appreciated intelligence professionals would have put together with man buns.
Does anybody know the location of Victoria Nuland?
Hey, I'll be honest with you. If Victoria Nuland wants to color revolution South Africa, be my guest. You could only improve that place through a color revolution.
I mean, when it comes down to this, the only other comment I got is Zuma's got to pay the rent somehow. So, leasing out some of the land, it works.
Yeah. Zama Zamas.
Oh, you know for sure it's not Zama Zamas, because if it was them, this would all be underground.
Sounds like some yuppie energy drink.
Zama. If CFC ever makes its own energy drink, we're going to call it Zama. We're going to call it artisanal Zama.
I like that.
All right. Well, boy. Moving along to one of the most depressing. Well, not depressing. It is depressing, but this is worth listening to. So Joe Rogan, he's well known for these long talks he has with, people who, comedians, fighters, people who are super important to the culture, and then also guys like Jordan Peterson. It allows them to kind of really get into the weeds on what they believe, and sometimes it turns out well, and sometimes it turns out less than well. But this is pretty solid 3 minutes, and I'm gonna put it up without comment on this topic. And guys, I'm gonna go around the horn. This probably could feed us for a little bit if we go off on this. So let's give it a listen.
It was typical for girls to undergo a fair bit of confusion when they hit puberty, and that would take the form of negative emotion. No one told her that. They just rushed her down the puberty blocking and surgical pathway. That's inexcusable.
It's evil.
Yeah, it is. It's the worst thing It's the worst thing I've seen professionals do, not only in my lifetime. I've studied atrocity for 40 years. I've never seen anything worse than what's happening right now. And that includes the sorts of things that were done in the camps in Germany. At least the goddamn Nazis admitted what they did was wrong. They tried to hide it. We trumpet it as a moral virtue. We're freeing the children. It's like, no, I don't think so, mothers. I think what you're doing is sacrificing your child to the parading of your moral virtue. Oh, my son, he's so confused. He thinks he's a girl, but I still love him. That's how wonderful I am. Jesus Christ, Joe. You have no idea how dark that is.
It's dark.
It's unbelievably
and it's
dark.
attached to an industry now.
Yeah, that's
which is
for
very
sure.
scary. There was
An industry and an ideology.
There was an article that was recently released where this person admitted that they said it was what was the exact phrase, that the way they described gender transition as life-saving medical care in order to get insurance for it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise insurance won't pay for it. So they were willing to describe it in that way to ensure that people would profit off of it, which is wild.
It's
terrifying. And it's so strange because I never would have believed that this could happen. If
Well,
you had
and-
asked me 20 years ago if this was going to be a main concern, that people were worried about their children being roped into this ideology and convinced that they're
and then
authentic
sterilized and
self.
mutilated.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. Well, it's no wonder people see, even Michael Schellenberger, who broke the WPATH files, when we talked about the role the WPATH played in establishing their own ideology-addled butchery as the standard of care for the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Psychological Association. Schellenberger said that after he had listened to Abigail Schreier and I talk about this trans mutilation, he was so appalled that he literally couldn't believe it. He just shelved it. He said, there's no way this can be true. And I can understand that, because the more you look into it, the worse it gets.
Right.
It's unbelievably bad. These surgical procedures are so brutal and so experimental that they're I'm going to say it again. They're worse than what the Mengele types did in the concentration camps in the 30s and 40s. And that's a pretty goddamn low bar.
I mean, that's pretty strong stuff, and I don't know that I disagree with him. I haven't really kind of thought it through to the extent that he has, but Ron, I'll open the floor up to you.
Oh, well, what can you say? I mean, you look at Kamala's, platform and her initial ad, and she's trying to make, transgenderism and all this, helping youth find their true self, one of the central tenets of her campaign. It's it's really going to resonate here in Middle America. I'm telling you, that's going to be great.
Yeah. A lot of people in the chat are agreeing with old JP on this one. I know, Watcher, you've had some disagreements with Jordan Peter, especially about the anonymous stuff and things like this. But it's nice to see these kind of broad issues that we can really jump behind. This type of thing on thoughts.
No, I've been saying it for a long time, and I've never truly been worried that these people would win. But I'm very worried, very, very worried that we're about to let them slink back into the shadows without any real punishment.
Yeah.
There aren't enough wood chippers manufactured to take care of them all.
Oh, there's plenty of rope.
Well, but we've talked about genocide, and usually genocide is pointed at other people, right? Like it's ethnic cleansing, like what you saw in Serbia, or it's, World War II, the Nazis on the Jews and various other ethnicities like the Gypsies and things like that. And you've had that time and time again. China, there's a fair amount of ethnic cleansing that's going on in China right now.
Oh yeah.
But I just don't know that I've ever seen, and this kind of goes to that whole Malthusian death cult kind of idea. I've never seen a previous generation turn on its its successor generation in a way that actively attempts to destroy it. I've never.
I mean,
I don't.
There's only so many times one can say, "Look at the Weimar," but
yeah. So the meme version of this is, and then suddenly, for no reason at all, Hitler was voted into power, which is not actually true.
Well,
but it's the meme. It's the meme.
I don't know. I don't know.
About this though is the truly serious thing about this is for a long time nobody's been listening. They all say that humanity is the disease. This thing fundamentally sterilizes. That's what it does. It gets rid of the virus. It is literally, to them, this is the white blood cell treatment for the planet.
Well, so when I look at the Weimar, right, I think of like the last days of Rome, like, the kind of the debauchery, it's when it goes too far, there's debauchery, and it's just, there's no social net, safety net for the morals and things like that at the time. And it tends to spin out of control, and it doesn't last long, and it's not organized, right? It's more of a kind of a...
Well, did you miss that transgenderism and transgender surgeries literally originated in the Weimar?
No, I got it. But my point is I think that you could argue that progressivism with like the abortion, the Margaret Sanger types before the Weimar is really where...
Because let's go back, because you were talking about a generation turning against and betraying its youth. Let's go back to that. Let's talk about how in the Weimar, they literally had a program to give orphans to child molesters on purpose. Let's we can go back. But
how widespread was that?
That was a government program, and it was literally the central government that was enforcing it nationwide.
How many people but
thousands.
So it's happening globally right now. I mean, it's not even like one order of magnitude more. It's like probably 2 orders of magnitude more, right? So this is a little, that may have been like a test case, right? So I'm not going to deny that they didn't do that. Look, I'm just saying it's not the same thing.
What I'm saying is, Germany was a lot smaller of a country. Germany, even now, is essentially a generously sized U.S. state.
Yeah. Watcher, play this. This is directly ties into it. I can't believe I didn't think about it when we were putting notes together. I just dropped it in the private chat.
Well, yeah, actually, and
so this is Elon Musk on his thoughts on this.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna play it, but in the private chat, I also have something else.
Well, it's sort of like the natalist issue.
Okay, real quick. This was Jordan Peterson interviewing Elon Musk the other day.
Okay, that's where I got confused. I thought that maybe the other clip was playing in the background.
Yeah.
My older boys, where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This is before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he did.
That was a lie right from the outset. No reliable clinician ever believed that. There was never any evidence for that. And also, if there's a higher suicide rate, the reason is because of the underlying depression and anxiety, and not because of the gender dysphoria. And every goddamn clinician knows that too. And they're too cowardly to come out and say it, right? And so and then we end up in exactly, when I saw that lie start to propagate, it just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It's like, I see. So you're telling parents that unless they agree to this radical transformation, that their children are going to die, and you think that's moral.
Hold up, I have to pause this. Was this on the same day, or did he just decide that this is his new suit?
He does that with those jackets. He'll get these custom jackets made with.
Okay, all right.
And you think that's true? That is so pathological that it's almost incomprehensible. I can't imagine anything worse. I can't imagine a therapist doing anything worse than that, or sitting by idly and remaining silent while his colleagues are doing it. It's pathetic.
It's incredibly evil. And I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
It won't stop till that happens.
Yeah.
It'll just go underground. There's all puberty blockers are being accessed online by kids all the time through non-medical channels. So yeah,
Right.
it's not going to stop. Yeah. Okay, so I see. So that's
So I was
personal
tricked into doing this, and it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
I mean, and it can happen to the best of us, right? Literally. Karen, amen. There's a rope for a reason. Here's the thing, right? I mean, people, I think in general, are generally sympathetic, right? When somebody says they're hurting, you don't tear into them to figure out why they're lying, right? You like, well, okay, well, something's wrong. I want to help, right? And if you're not educated in this stuff and you're being told by authoritative voices or professionals that you trust, right, that, well, this is what you should do, or they're going to commit suicide. Well, I don't want my kid to commit suicide. And this is how so many parents have been duped into this. And here, I think they go two ways, right? They either go the way Elon's gone and realize, what have I done, and really have some kind of feel complicit, but also feel very, kind of almost a retribution against that movement. And then there's the other ones that say, well, if I can't handle potentially have done the wrong thing. So I'm going to just buy in hook, line, and sinker to the lie that was sold to me.
Sunk cost fallacy. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and they just get it's just delusional. And self-delusion is,
It is. It's interesting. You can you can see that it's legitimately broken, Elon.
Yeah, he looks crushed there, and evidently there's been some his dead son Xander has made some clips, I guess, recently to kind of speak out against Elon about this, and it's pretty sick. I don't want to play that, but
yeah, I'm not interested in. Look, the left loves to weaponize people's mentally ill children against them, and I'm done with it. I'm done adding to that. Again, though, this can't be like the medical malpractice stuff from the past, and people have argued with me about couple different things, but like we let the people who practice lobotomies long after we knew there was no medical necessity or any actual medical benefit from them just get off scot-free. We largely let most of the Nazi doctors off scot-free, to be honest. Like there were some who were prosecuted, but very few, and largely just figureheads.
We let all the Japanese doctors off completely scot-free, and they did worse than the Nazis.
Correct.
Because we wanted their data.
And that doesn't get to happen this time, one way or the other.
Yeah, you need either justice or some other form of justice, right?
No,
and that can come in many different messengers.
Yeah.
When I say justice, I mean, due process, right? But then other forms of justice would be something other than due process.
Yeah, a due process, sure.
Yeah. They both bring you some level of justice. All right. Pinochet's helicopter tours for $5 says the psychopaths in Massachusetts legislatures are trying to ban and confiscate all semi-automatic weapons. Something bad is coming. They stated they plan to ignore any Supreme Court rulings on the matter. It's fine. You can do that because ultimately the people will enforce the Supreme Court rulings themselves.
I will say this. I I hope that they have prepared a very large funeral and benefits fund for whatever agency they decide is going to go and enforce said law.
Yeah, I just, yeah.
Yeah.
Once
that'll-
I just don't think it's going to end well, Ron.
No, of course not. I mean, I don't give two hoots what happens in Massachusetts. I mean, that state's been dead since even before Dukakis. But it'll embolden, if this is true, it'll embolden other very blue states to implement similar measures. And blue states aren't blue from border to border. They're pockets of blue, mostly the cities, and then everything once you leave the city limits and get past suburbia, it's pretty red. And it'll be interesting. And you're going to try to ban the most popular type of weapon, whether it's handgun or rifle. Give me a break. That's not going to happen. And it'll be interesting to see how they try to enforce it, because I think there's another post in the chat where he talks about, the police in Boston will rigorously enforce that. Well, let's maybe a few. But maybe a few of the ones that are careerists or whatever. But a lot of them are going to go, yeah, no, there's not enough Kevlar in my vest to protect me, and so yeah, that would be a mistake. And it's a reach way too far for anything. I mean, the political calculus they're making is very incorrect.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of those kind of issues that have been hiding kind of in the background, on the back burner in the Democratic. I think you'll see them come out in this campaign. And I think that is that's more of I think an acknowledgement that these are not popular issues, but they're issues they believe in. So they're trial balloons to see if you can get the regular populace to start embracing some of this stuff. But it's also, when you're going to lose, you can be a little more honest about who you are, I think. And that may be subconscious, but
they think they're going to win. I mean, you look at, if you watch Kamala's first ad, the Harris for president thing, waving transgender flags, lots of people of color, lots of gender fluid people, women's and people who think they're women's, and Kamala talking about equity and we're all going to end up in the same place except for her and her whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it bothers me that I think they're grasping because they realize maybe the jig is up. Maybe you're right, Scott. They think they're going to lose. So, but the jig is up, and they're going to make that last mad grasp for whatever, so they can, we have to burn the country to save it, type of thing.
Well, I mean, we could get into this more later, but I honestly think if they thought they had a chance, they'd put their best foot forward, right? And I think what we're seeing by putting Kamala out there is that ultimately they think she can take the hit and then can just kind of matriculate into the larger Democratic pantheon, after the loss. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, after George McGovern got his ass whipped, he sort of just disappeared. But that was a different time, so who knows?
Well, yeah, I mean, she's definitely, she's not their best and brightest, if you will.
Oh God.
And we can get into that more later in segment 1 and 2. Squishy Hunter for $1 over on Rumble says, so sick of the propagandists and their half-truths, outright denials. How can they possibly see themselves as good people? Well, I think that they are. I think that they are like more relativists, right? Like they think that,
Yeah, they don't believe in good.
They don't believe in good and evil the way we do, right? Yeah, these are inherent things, right?
Yeah, they believe in, like, that they will use evil as a concept, but mostly just as a stick to try and hit people they don't like with. They don't really believe in evil, except for, and this is kind of, as you get talking to them long term, you find out, except for Their only real concept of evil is that which opposes the institution of communism.
See, at one point I believed that, but I'm coming to the point now where I think some of them legitimately do think they're evil and revel in it.
Well, that's more of a kind of a more recent phenomena with like the whole Church of Satan type stuff, and they are. Oh well, we're whatever. But
there's edge cases. I'm talking about the majority of them.
Well-armed Corgi says, I don't want to share a country with these people anymore.
I've been saying it for years. I refuse to. I will not.
It's
well, then you should become a sovereign citizen, well-armed Corgi, and declare your independence.
Oh, why? They're the idiots. I'm staying here. They've got to go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but as a sovereign citizen, you don't have to obey any you don't have to obey the law. You can do whatever you want because you're sovereign. You're independent. Anyway,
Well,
that's a whole nother hole.
In all factuality, every human in every country on earth obeys what laws they find tolerable and doesn't obey what laws they don't find tolerable. But
that's right.
You're right. It's a conversation for another time.
That's right. Sammy Hagar, I can't drive 55.
To the extent that their environment will allow them to.
Right.
All right. Let's move on to our next odds and ends, shall we? Israel to France. Prepare to be attacked again. President of Israel says the sabotage of railway infrastructure across France ahead of the Paris 2024 Olympics is planned and executed under the influence of Iran's axis of evil and radical Islam. As I warned my French counterpart, Steph Sojourn, this week, based on information held by Israel, Iranians are planning terrorist attacks against the Israeli delegation that the Olympic and all Olympic participants. Increased preventative measures must be taken to thwart their plot. The free world must stop Iran now before it's too late.
We have breaking from our friends on this exact topic.
Yes, Knightsbridge. That's the. Let me blow that up there for a second.
France, explosives used against rail lines as Olympics begin. Pre-dawn today, a series of explosive arson attacks struck France high-speed rail network. Saboteurs used explosive devices to damage rail infrastructure and start fires. Repairs began almost immediately, but authorities said the traffic would be heavily disrupted throughout the weekend. And remember, that's the forcing a lot of people onto alternate travel routes is the point of this.
And the last paragraph on that tweet is coordinated strikes. I think coordination that's important to note.
Came ahead of the Olympics opening Friday. Authorities have estimated 250,000 passengers could be affected today, up to we'll just say 1 million because it's close enough during the whole weekend.
Yeah, I think the thing that singles this out to me is the coordination aspect of it. All of the same, roughly the same time across, nationwide, essentially in France, targeted against the central target of which is Paris and the high speed avenues of approach into Paris. I mean, Ron, this is kind of your old bailiwick a little bit as far as disruption.
This is, we haven't seen any, proof, publicly yet that Iran is behind it. But I mean, based on that Iran is funding the protest here in the United States, it's not a stretch. And, so I wonder how do you say in Farsi, John has a long mustache, since now it's the reverse of the French resistance, huh?
Well,
don't look it up on your translator thingy, because you'll mispronounce it.
Too late.
Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm looking up something else actually. Sean, what's your kind of take on this this whole threat to the Olympics? I mean, we've seen a lot of crime against. We saw some thefts against multiple teams have lost significant gear and whatnot. What's your take on this?
the snarky take is the second I was told there were going to be Qatari forces there. I started smelling a whole lot of Munich,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm worried.
Yeah, well, the Munich thing is obviously, if they can recreate something like that, that would be huge for the, Hamas movement. It also would definitely piss off a significant portion of Europe that may not be completely convinced to work against these colonizers that are protesting for Hamas in Europe. So it may actually backfire in a lot of ways. What do you guys think?
Well, I think Sniper brings up is the point about the Qataris. I mean, the Qataris sent, military or armed police or whatever they were. But, I mean, imagine the Atlanta or the Los Angeles Olympics. We we invite other nations' militaries or police forces, not just to protect their little, teams, but, to be part of the broader security package into our country. I mean, good Lord, all we need to do is like, hey, here, trade out your headgear for the blue helmet.
I mean, there's that, but there's also, all right, everybody's saying Iran, 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 while forgetting where Hamas lives, where their leaders actually live.
Gutter.
So,
yeah.
That's
31st
just
floor of the building next to the Foreign Affairs Ministry, overlooking LUD Air Base.
Yeah, so that's just the snarky take, but yeah, I just started. I started like smelling Wiener Schnitzel in the air and thinking of Munich, and lo and behold, here we go.
Well, didn't Israel warn France before the Bataclan attack?
Yes.
Well, here's my question is, Ron, are you ready to do the reenactment of the Kabul pullout at Charles de Gaulle? As the Americans and the French Foreign Legion manned the perimeter, pulling the last Americans out while the hordes of Muslim invaders surround Charles de Gaulle. That's my question, because I can see that vision in my head.
That would be forget. I just write those people off. There's no way. I mean, what if you haven't gotten out by before that, everything is lost. Forget it. You're not going to get on the channel, and the tunnel under the English Channel, forget it. I mean, it's
the Brits better have explosive charges with a button. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But
they're invaded too.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, I mean, actually, we've got another story. This is a great, stopping spot to go to the next story we've got for our odds and ends. But
yeah,
real quick, I want to get these super chats in first.
Are you sure? Are you sure you wanted to get that one?
Yes.
Please don't.
Grifting Gamer for $5 says you just can't brush over the JQ when you bring up Weimar and Hirschfeld. Germans didn't just wake up one day and decide to pick on.
Yes, we can. Next.
Yeah, next.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyway, Kevin Dorff for $5 says, why would Hamas do this? Europe, for the most part, is siding with them. I think the French false flag is more likely and blame Russia on it. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? They are not siding with them per se. They feel like it would be bad form for them not to allow these, huddled masses to come and yearn to be free in their own countries. This is absolutely a virtue signal, not an alignment. Now, there are communists that know exactly what allowing these colonizers in will do, and they think it's in their short-term benefit. But this is also, when we talked about this, where we started seeing the kind of the butting of the heads between the progressive revolutionary communists in America and the true believer Palestinian Islamists ultimately, there is a point at which the path of these two groups diverges violently, and the left never has had a problem. Communists fight people all the time, specifically other communists. So I see a point in the future when the radical left in Europe and the Islamists will be at their throats. Yeah, I honestly had no idea what the super chat said before I read it, but it's whatever.
Breaking news: FBI seeks to interview Donald Trump after assassination attempt.
Wow! They want to know. They want to know why his head didn't explode and why his neck didn't break, and he didn't get a concussion from the
I hope
bullet
Donald
trap.
says,
Well, hopefully
only in public. Only if you meet me in public.
Hopefully he will have learned from General Flynn in any FBI interview. He'll have multiple attorneys there, video cameras, recorders, stenographers, whatever, stenographers. And so there can't be any doubt about what was said by either side.
Show up in full Kevlar.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I'm not sure what the point of an interview would be like that. That would just, that's just publicity hogging.
It would be funny as hell if he turned it into a live stream or something like that.
Let's see. Did we get them all?
That is it. Let's go straight into the final one that you had.
Yeah.
Sent.
Well, I mean, it's just I noticed the writing on the
Speaking
wall.
of colonizers,
Yeah, I noticed the writing on the wall in Northern Ireland, and I thought I'd share it with you all.
Any workman repairing Welcome Center will be shot. And if you're tracking the Welcome Center, that's the one that they burned down last week, and that there were.
Actually, this is a different one.
Is this a different one? Well, but
this is in Belfast. That was in.
Belfast is a little different story. I mean, the regular Ireland is fairly kind of normie, but Belfast still to this day is pretty.
It's not normie. It's practically almost a caliphate. Come on now.
So the other one was in it was in a very fitting place called Kulak.
Yeah. This one is in Kulak.
No, this one's in Belfast.
Yeah, the other one
we were watching the other day was in Kulak.
But it's the same type of thing, right? They're building these migrant centers for the refugees that they accepted from God knows where, who are doing God knows what to.
Right. Well, look at Leeds, the city of Leeds in the United Kingdom. The main island. I mean, rioting going on there, and between the Pakistanis rioting and pick a city in Britain and the Bangladeshis rioting, and I think there was a video put out by Radio Genoa today of some British motorcycle cop getting the crap kicked out of him because he was issuing traffic tickets, and wrong neighborhood to be doing traffic tickets, and he was literally getting the shit kicked out of him in the head.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's previous people have said Britain is lost.
I don't know how they get back. I mean, I hate to say it. The only way you get back in Britain is if some really dark pendulum swing from the other side that ends up in some level of genocide is probably how that happens. I don't want that to happen. I'm just saying that's probably the only way it could happen.
David Jowers asks, so the IRA is going against Sinn Féin. The IRA is Sinn Féin, but the newer people who are taking up the mantle of the IRA are going against Sinn Féin. Yes,
right, because they're true blood Irishmen.
Fenians to the core.
Hunch the Dirty Roofer is reporting from camp is still out of power. What? That's crazy talk.
Stan's check bounced.
Uh-oh. I'm sure that's not it, but
I'm sure that's not it. But then again, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you probably have less than perfect logistics.
Or maybe Dolio's solo solar panel is not keeping up.
Well, see, that's just it. Dolio's got plenty of power, right?
Yeah,
everybody else is.
He's trying to teach everyone else a lesson.
That's right. I'll teach them a lesson. Oh, very good. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we jump into our main? Yes. Oh, you wanted to talk about the
capture
El Chapo, the El
Mayo.
Okay, that happened a while back. Just so you know, El Mayo capture happened a while back.
Why was
they're just now announcing that that the way it happened was El Chapo's son gave them basically gave him up, and that's how he got out of prison.
Wow. Well, they flew into a they basically turned themselves in. They flew into an airport in
yeah. So I guess he was arrested earlier this year. I guess does it say July? I guess it does.
It was not very long ago this happened.
Yeah, I think he gave himself up, and he was arrested in El Paso. Yeah, he gave himself. That's right. That's what. Okay, so this is more recent.
It's new.
Okay, so I guess this has been in the works, though. Is what I'm seeing. Like this is a kind of a deal.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the founder of the. I don't know if he's the current head, but he's the founder of the Sinaloa Cartel.
Yeah, well, one of the two founders. Like, if you go and watch Narcos Mexico, like El Mayo is like one of the main characters, and going back to the late '80s. He's older than my dad, so he's an old dude. He's 76 years old, so. I'm just saying, it's older than me.
Older than me.
Older than you, Ron.
Thank God.
Wait, David Jowers, we're gonna get him on tax evasion?
Oh, I don't know about that. But this guy's the one who was famous for getting like plastic surgery and kind of like faded into the background, and he was more of the silent guy. I mean, he was in partnership with El Chapo. But I think El Chapo was definitely the public face of the Sinaloa cartel.
Yeah, Rowan Cowart kind of beat me to it there, which is he says I prefer El Mustardo. I was going to say, well, I prefer El Japanese Mayo.
Oh Jesus,
that's terrible, Watcher.
I know.
All right. Anything else? Let's should we?
I had to be terrible because I had to set people up for our main topic. They've got to get in the right mood. They got proper cringe exercises. Everyone.
Well, remember the reason they announced it now is to show how tough they are on border enforcement and fighting the flow of illegal drugs across the border. We're working hard. It's all politics. It's not really enforcing the law.
He's been out there since the 80s, but we got him now.
Yep.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm ready to retire. I'll just go do it in a Supermax.
Actually, as long as we're on that actually does seem like a fairly wise strategy for someone who's got that many enemies, right? Am I wrong? If
you just want to sit around and read books for the rest of your days, and not, I wouldn't say relative comfort, but I can't imagine it's like, the worst place in the world to be. I mean,
it's better than a dirt nap.
Oh, the rest of your days, quote unquote. Until somebody makes a deal to get you out, which is going to happen.
Yeah, a terrible place in America is almost always better than a terrible place in most of the other countries all over the world. So,
all right. Well, the chat is about to burst at the seams if we don't get to the main topic here.
I know. So let's exit our and move over to Bongino's as our place to talk about this, because this is all domestic politics, and we haven't had any trouble with YouTube, but ultimately I'm not looking to kind of poke the bear. We still get a significant amount of our revenue through YouTube, so there's that.
We do have a $10 over on.
I just saw that. Let me read that. Kaga and Spill for $4.31 for $10 says Kamala Harris has the charm of Hillary Clinton with none of the intelligence. All right, that is his opinion and not my opinion. I just
we got a $5 on YouTube.
Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says supposedly the story about the Sinaloa founder is that he never needed the money. The money, his family were rich horse breeders. Yeah, I think I picked that up from, and he always kind of was fairly aloof and was not all about the kind of, he had a different kind of thing going on than most of these other, I hate to say it, but almost all
the Sinaloa is the one that was mostly giving back to the community, weirdly, right? Like not great, not in a great way, but in like hey, we fund hospitals and schools, even though we fund it with literal like blood money.
I think that ever since Pablo Escobar, that's been kind of like the MO for these big super rich cartels that work in and around these dirt poor countries, right? It's like you buy off entire neighborhoods and cities of people through just spreading around money. Just remember, they had billions of dollars in countries where $100 goes a hell of a lot farther than it does in the U.S. So a $1 billion turns into $4 billion in a place like Colombia. So, all right, let's go ahead and say goodbye here. Ron, final thoughts for our YouTube audience.
See you guys in Bongino's.
Absolutely.
First
Sean,
round's on me.
Final words.
Get off of this platform. It hates you. It hates everything about you. There are other platforms to find. I will not name them, but honestly, you probably know them at this point, and you are only here out of pure stubbornness and silliness. Stop giving traffic to people who want you dead.
All right. Watcher?
Yeah, as long as we're giving advice, never cook bacon naked. And with that, we will move to Bongino's.
2, 0, 1.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone.
3, 6, 4, 6.
The chair is against the wall.
3, 6.
The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache.
8, 2, 5.
John has a long mustache.
8, 2, 5, 0, 9.
It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.